from that, I've got some things that have bothered me that I think we need to do better and that we need to work on. And I'm probably as much to blame for much of it as anybody else could be, right? I'm also, something I'm very proud of and relevant to this conference, I think, with all the marketing you guys have done. I'm a member of the 501st Legion, which is a costuming group where we build screen accurate costumes and then wear them various places, raising money for charity. So for example, you'll see the pictures there, all of those costumed characters, the main ones are me. So Vader, the Chewie, the clone trooper, and him behind me. So we have to store them somewhere. So we've got a whole bunch of mannequins in the office, and then we bring them in and just set them up. If you're ever in Jacksonville, come on by, right? We do penetration testing, vulnerability assessment, that kind of stuff. But this talk is not about secure ideas. What it's about is InfoSec, right? And we talk about becoming a member of information security or the community or the industry or whatever, right? And this is something I get asked all the time. Hey, I just got out of college, or I just got out of high school, or I'm in IT, or I'm in this job, and I want to become a security person. Or we have the other side of it is I want to start doing security, even if it's not as a professional. And that's probably the wrong word. But there's lots of people who, as a side job or something they just want to do, they'll do bug bounties or what have you. Or we'll talk about this more in a minute. We have a lot of people who just think they can just test stuff because it's on the internet. It must be okay. But there's a lot of hidden traps and dangers, both in somebody joining the field, however they decide to join the community, and for the people who are here already that are supposed to be welcoming and encouraging others to get started, right? Because we stand on the shoulders of the people that come before us, and we should be the shoulders that other people stand on to join, right? And I think that for me, that's one of the biggest problems that's out there. I do see there's a question, who's behind me? This is not actually a person, it's a mannequin. It's a Gamorrean guard from the Return of the Jedi that me and a few other people built. It is a wearable costume. I don't know if I answered that, if the question came before or after I talked about the final first. So for those of you who know me, you know that I'm addicted, love, obsessed with Disney. And one of my favorite places at Disney is the Haunted Mansion. And I've never been to Disneyland, so I understand the Haunted Mansion there is just as good or better or worse or whatever. But the stretching gallery comes from Haunted Mansion. And I think that this talk, while it's a gimmick to throw Haunted Mansion in, it's also very relevant. When you first enter the ride, you go up and you wait in line, of course, right? It's Disney. And then you enter the mansion. And as you come in, you're brought into a room and the door is shut and there's a voice that talks to you. And if you're paying attention, you'll realize that the room is taller. And if you look up, there's paintings, and there's 4 of them. One is a guy in like a bowler hat sitting there. There's a woman in like a ballerina outfit holding an umbrella. Both of those are on the screen. There's an older woman sitting, and then there's the guy. And then if you really pay attention, the room starts to stretch. And as it stretches, the paintings reveal that they're bigger than you see normally when you first walk in. And as you pay attention a little bit more and watch a little bit more, you'll realize that every one of those paintings that I just described has a hidden trap or danger running in it. right? For example, the ballerina is on a tightrope and there's an alligator leaping below her. The guy in the bowler hat is in quicksand, sitting on the shoulders of others, right? The older woman is sitting on a grave, and the other guy is got no pants and is standing on a lit barrel of dynamite or gunpowder, right? This, to me, is so much an example of what we are, right? And for me, there's three pieces that I want to talk about today. And that is the knowledge necessary to become a security person, to become part of the community. Then I want to talk about community. What does that mean? What does that mean to you? What does it mean to me? And we use that term so much. And honestly, it's very, very overloaded. And then finally, I want to wrap it up by talking a little bit about the ethics and morals that we all should be showing and following. So let's start with knowledge. For me, this is an important one. I believe very firmly that it is our requirement to share what we know with other people. We talk about and hear about the cybersecurity talent gap or skills crisis or honestly all that crud, right? But the reality is there is a knowledge shortage. And there always will be, no matter what we do. And I want to be very clear, I'm biased. My company does training. We offer training. We sell training. We've got our whole catalog for next year scheduled and on our website if you want to sign up. And I want to throw out there, if you're a veteran, we have discounts. If you're a nonprofit charity, we give free services to nonprofit charities. So please reach out to us for that kind of stuff. But we see this, and one of the things I see is that as I look at, bluntly, competing training companies, the cost of training is ridiculous. I mean, I've got a couple examples here, right? And I want to be very clear. Many people know that I used to teach for a very large training company, and I have been very public about my complaint about the ridiculous cost they have grown to. But I really think I'm that way about them in particular because I was part of them. And so it bothers me that happened, but they're not unique in this field, right? Not a single one of these courses is less than $4,000. And at least one of them is over $7,000. And I'm not saying the course isn't worth that. I don't know what its worth is to you. I know it's not worth it to me, but I think that this is a major problem. And when we talk about learning and teaching and instructing, of course, we also talk about certification. We'll get to that when we get to gatekeeping, right? We have built a bar to entry that for many, many people, it is insurmountable. I know for me, when I decided that I wanted to get into security, and I that's what I did is quite common, right? You're in IT or whatever, and you decide that security thing looks pretty cool. It looks fun. I mean, come on, let's be clear, right? I get to hack stuff and not go to jail because I have permission. We'll talk about permission in a minute, right? It's fun. I love my job. I love what I get to do. I have a blast. And so I decided that's what I wanted to do. I talked to some people. I had looked at the company I worked for had a security team, and I talked to some of the security people on it. And I sat down and I wrote a list of 10 things I needed to know. And I've told this story many times. I'm not a list person. I don't do lists most of the time, but I did this time. And I sat down and I wrote 10 things I needed to learn. And I learned one of them. And I had a list of 17 things I needed to learn, right? And I learned another one, and I had a list of 27 things, and then 50 things, and then 73 things, and 85 things. And currently, almost 20 years later, I have a list of 4,387,486,122 items. That's made up. But it's a pretty damn long list. And I learn by talking to other people. I learn by exploring. I learn by talking and watching and seeing and exploring and trying stuff. And we only do as well as we can. I am where I am now because other people have shared their knowledge with me. And I will bet you that you are where you are now because others have shared their knowledge with you. And maybe they shared it because you paid them, and maybe they shared it because they wanted to, or a combination of both, right? This is why I say is that we all should be encouraging and helping and guiding the next group of people. Because look, I'm old. At least I feel old. I turned 47 this year in February. I hurt everywhere. I get up every morning and think, man, I'm old. I'm not going to be in this job forever. God, I hope not, right? Can't imagine being a 90-year-old man still getting up every day and going to the job. We have to figure out the people who are going to replace us. We have to figure out and help the people who want to join this. And we have to guide as many of them as possible. We'll get more into that when we get into community. But one of the things that I see quite often, and I use a term here that I find relevant, other people can disagree with it. We also throw it around. Sometimes when it's not necessarily, but it's gatekeeping. And gatekeeping, I think the picture I have here is really relevant. First off, it's the gate in front of the Haunted Mansion, so it fits the talk. Second, thank you. As with so many other things, right? There's a person, a little kid, chain across the gate, and he's protecting it. I know. He's probably playing, right? But this is how I see so many of the people that are online today. Immature little children that don't want others to be where they are. Not because where they are is dangerous, but because it undermines their insecurity, right? And I'll be blunt. I'm a horribly insecure person. I am. I'm an introvert. I'm shy. I don't know nothing. If you knew all the mistakes I made, you probably do, right? You don't. But we see these people and they hold others back, and they try to play it off like, oh no, it's I don't want to do this. I got to tell them the right thing. I saw it this morning. We hired a new senior consultant, and I can't believe I'm going to give this jackhole time in my life, but I think it's important. We hired a new consultant, and they published a challenge. We do them weekly. The latest one went out today. And he published a challenge of what's the vulnerability. And some guy who I am not going to name, but you can go look at Twitter and find him, right? He decided to make fun of what the challenge was. And you know what? I laughed because he pointed out that we should have hired a competent security consultant. And you know what? Your opinion of our consultants is your job, and your right to have whatever opinion you want. But I will tell you, the guy who created this, he's competent. At least I think so. That's why I hired him. But I could be wrong. The funny part was the person complained about two things about the challenge, neither of which had anything to do with what really was the challenge. They were an example in a graphic, right? That's gatekeeping. That was somebody who decided that their ability to nitpick, and we won't discuss the accuracy of what he nitpicked, right? But their ability to nitpick, their ability to trumpet how smart they are, was better and more important than encouraging and helping. Let's say my consultant was wrong. Let's say my consultant had done something really stupid. Maybe they have. We all do, right? Instead of blasting them, instead of making fun of them, wouldn't the right answer have been, hey, Did you think of this and this and this? And I will tell you the truth. My consultant, who I'm also not naming, even though it's all public, right, is probably one of the smartest people I know. His understanding of the underlying systems he's talking about blows my mind. I have been dealing with the systems that he is talking about and working with for decades. And every time I talk to him, I learn something new. That's awesome. The guy who is a pompous ass on Twitter, and I've been a pompous ass on Twitter, right, could have learned so much more by talking to him and maybe have corrected something, right? But instead, we decided to gatekeep and act better. I see it in the open source field. Somebody tries to do a contribution and we bash them. We laugh at them. I saw it on Twitter again today. So relevant. Somebody asked the question, if somebody submits a typo fix, right, fix a typo in a pull request, that all it does is fixes a typo in a README, should we call them an open source contributor? And my answer is absolutely. Are they the same level as HD Moore writing Metasploit? No. But do you call a teacher something else because they've only been teaching for a year instead of 5? Still a teacher, still a contributor. They might not have contributed what you wanted or enough to meet some imaginary bar that you have. But it's exactly that, imaginary, in your opinion. Get out of the way. Let other people help. Let other people work. Because what we are all trying to do, or should be trying to do, is build a community. Now, a while ago, I saw Leslie posted a comment about what does community mean to you? And it actually got me thinking, like, what does community mean to me, right? And there's lots of different things, and everybody has a different opinion, and they may have differing opinions in different contexts, right? By the way, this picture is two of my 2 daughters and a friend of theirs at Disney years ago. They're much older than that now. Gotta point that out, right? But what I'm talking about here is all of InfoSec. Whether you're a cool elite hacksaw with a name that we're not allowed to know because you've got a hacker handle and that's all you go by, to the person who sits in front of a pane of glass watching alerts, to the person who's gone to every single DEF CON that you ever even imagined. I know that doesn't make any sense, but let's go with it, right? To the person who's never been to a conference, to a person that just has a Twitter account that posts stuff that they find interesting. That is what we mean. It's the community. It's every bit of it, right? And I understand that in different aspects of that community, we're gonna have different rules, different entry points. Notice I didn't say entry levels, right? I don't care. What we want to encourage is every bit of that community, because way too often I see people get shot down. I see people who want to take part, who want to contribute, who want to learn and gain from the community. They have no idea where they need to go. And part of that is because there is no one place to be part of the community, right? I am now, as of a couple weeks ago, on the projects committee at OWASP. And we were having a conversation about how do you promote projects? And I don't mean advertise, I mean promote them from the varying levels of projects, incubator to labs to flagship, right? What is the process to promote them? And I opened up a ticket with OWASP. This is before I was on the committee. This is before the committee existed recently, because it had been disbanded, right? I'd opened a ticket for the Samurai Project to be promoted because we're in the incubator level. And we've been in the incubator level since we joined, mainly because I'm an idiot and didn't know there was a promotion process. And so I wrote a ticket and asked, how do I promote it? And I got the answer back that, well, it happens twice a year at the global events. And as you can imagine, right now during the pandemic, global events aren't happening. So how do we promote people, right? So that's one place to be part of the community, right? But where are the others? And I'll tell you that one of the things that holds a lot of people back is that because we don't know where to start, we don't know where to go to find out. And I don't know about you, but many of the people I know are embarrassed to ask. Maybe they're introverts. I know I am. I'm shy, right? And I have this thing in here about InfoSec playdates. And what I mean by that is, I found this funny. This is an idea. I was talking to my wife and she laughed at me because I said to her, you know, I really don't know how to make friends. I don't. I'm a 47-year-old man. I have an identical twin brother. And growing up, I had friends, right? I guess, you know, people I considered friends. I'd like to believe they liked me too, right? But most of my childhood I spent with my brother. We were always together. People will talk about, you know, built-in best friend type thing, whatever, right? But I realized as I looked back at my childhood, which has its issues, and I look at my kids' childhoods, you know, there's a lot of play dates. Back when I was a kid, we didn't call them play dates, but we still went over and hung out at people's houses. Our parents would drop us off, or we would ride our bikes over, right? And you would hang out. My daughters do the same thing when they were younger, right? My wife would arrange a day and they would go to a park or a playground or somebody's house, or somebody would come to our house and they would hang out and play. And they were kind of pushed together to make friends, learn what the other ones were doing. And we don't do that anymore. And maybe we should. Maybe we should just go on to Twitter and, you know, like the Secret Santa things people do. Instead, let's arrange InfoSec playdates. We'll find out everybody who is in the Jacksonville area and we'll pick somebody's house and we'll all meet over there and we'll hack on things together. And we'll all meet in New York and hack on things together. We'll do InfoSec playdates. But the reality is we have to encourage people to get involved and know each other and relate to people because we are real people. And when we talk to people, and this is one of the things I see, the jackhole I was talking about earlier, I will bet you that jackhole never considered the fact that he was bad-mouthing and insulting a real person, a person that exists, a person that has a livelihood, a person who had just been hired at a company that maybe their boss would have reacted badly to that. How do you know that I'm not also a jackhole and decide, oh man, you know, I got this new consultant and he posted something and you know what? It caused some guy to say he was wrong. He's fired. Right? There's impact to what we do. But we also have to remember that everybody has different opinions. I'm sitting here talking about this jackhole, but he has an opinion. I'm insulting his opinion, mainly because I think he's a jackhole. But we all have opinions. We all should feel free to express them. Now, I do want to clarify, and I've clarified this before. When I say opinions, I'm not using the term loosely. I mean things that are your opinion. If we present facts and you contain the same opinion, you're just an ignorant moron, okay? It's kind of like the vaccines cause autism and Bill Gates is chipping everybody and masks are bad. Those aren't opinions. Those are ignorance, right? I'm talking about opinions of, I like Linux, you like Windows. I'm talking opinions of, I think SMS as a two-factor or multi-factor thing is good enough for the vast majority of people, so stop complaining about it. Because all you do when you complain about it and say that people shouldn't use it is undermine the ability for us to encourage people to be more secure, right? That's what I mean by opinions. But we also have to recognize that people communicate differently. I don't like getting on phone calls. I'd rather you just text me or email me your information, unless I actually really know you, right? And then I actually prefer to jump onto a Google Meet and get on a video call and talk and see each other, right? That's how I communicate, but not everybody else does. Some people would prefer to communicate by just dumping an email out there and never dealing with stuff. Other people prefer meetings. Those people are psychopaths. We have to relate to all of that and try to help encourage that and build the community that we want. Which brings us to the last part of what I wanted to talk about. It's actually the most important part. There's only one slide. Ethics. Please note that I did not say laws. I did not say rules. I said ethics. This is not something I'm going to enforce on you. I know my own ethics. I know what I'm willing to do. And I will bet you that many of you probably have similar ethics to me, but not all of you. Some of you may think it's okay to do something that I don't think it's okay. I know a lot of people that think it's okay to lie, as long as lying is helpful. Little white lie, have you heard that one, right? Maybe you think it's okay to perform a test of a website that you haven't gotten permission to test, right? I see that all the time. You know that jackhole that I mentioned, bad-mouthing one of my consultants? Yesterday, or last few days, that person has been testing Security as his websites. Doesn't have permission. Probably doesn't even think we realize it, right? You don't have permission to do that. In my mind, that's unethical, right? Other people disagree with me, and that's fine, because that is an opinion. My ethics are something that I've grown with and built and understand and thought about. I actually, at Secure Ideas, we have long conversations about whether something fits our ethics. We talk about what the organizational ethics guidelines are. We've worked out what is okay and what isn't to us. And I'd like to believe that not only do we follow them, but we're seen to follow them. That's an important aspect. If you're the most ethical person in the world, but people look at you and say, I don't know about that, right? Then it doesn't matter how ethical you were. We have to be the example, right? I did realize I have a typo. It says recognize that ethics are laws. I meant recognize that ethics aren't laws. They're not laws. I know things I'm willing to do that is I was going to say unlegal. That's not even a real word. That are illegal, right? I think it's okay that if somebody is beating up on somebody, that I should be allowed to jump in and help defend the person being beaten up. And in many places, that's illegal. I believe if you're a self-proclaimed Nazi, notice I said self-proclaimed, not that just somebody called you a Nazi, I'm allowed to punch you in the throat. I know that if I punch you in the throat, I'm going to get arrested and probably go to jail. And I'm okay with that if you're a self-proclaimed Nazi, right? But it's ethical for me, but illegal. Make sense? We have to understand and communicate what our ethics are, right? We have to share what we're doing. We have to share why we're doing it. I love when people challenge what I think is ethical and what is not, and we can talk about it. Now, when I say challenge, I don't mean just throw crud at the wall. I mean, let's actually discuss it. Why do you think that is unethical? Why do you think that's okay or not, or what have you? Have those conversations, right? I would love to discuss it. But we have to understand, and I believe as an industry, we have to have at least somewhat an ethical formula for what we do and don't do. I have a screenshot of the CISSP Code of Ethics, not because I think that is the ethical guidelines we should all follow. It's just one of the best known ethical codes in InfoSec, right? Best known as in actually documented, actually published, actually, heck, you got to agree to it before you can take the test, right? But it's out there. We have to work on this. We, as an industry, have to get better. We, as an industry, have to work together to fix the things that we've broken, to fix the problems and gatekeeping that we've enabled. And please note, I'm saying we, because I know for a fact that in my life, and I will in the future, I will do the wrong thing. I will discourage somebody. I will cause more problems than I fix. I hope at the end, it's the opposite of that. It's my goal, but that's what we have to do. So I know I only have a couple more minutes. I'd like to open it up for questions, comments, things to throw. See, it's easy for me to say things to throw because I'm online. Now, of course, I've said that, and somebody will come into the office from over there and throw stuff at me because you told them to.
Well, thank you, Kevin. Yeah, there is, well, the easy one real fast is what's behind Kevin? At least they want to know what's behind you again.
I thought it's a Gamorrean guard. It was Jabba the Hutt's guards in Return of the Jedi. And it's on a mannequin. It's made out of latex, silicone, fiberglass, pleather, and fake fur. Mm-hmm. And yes, it's wearable and hot as heck.
All right. If anyone else has any other questions, if you could try to submit them now, I'll give it a minute and then we'll ask them. But I don't see any more in the Discord channel.
Okay.
Oh, one just popped up. Let's see what we got here.
Speaking of breaking into security, I finally broke in about a year ago and currently focused on RMF. How would you advise somebody to get into red teaming? The very first question I have to ask is, what is RMF? Sorry, I'm not sure what that is, but how do you get into red teaming? It's a good question. There's a lot of different ways to do it. The way that I prefer to do it is to start risk management framework. Thank you. I just moved the other window and saw what you said. So what I recommend is find people who are already involved in red teaming, penetration testing, hacking, bug bounties, stuff like that. And start learning how they do it. Ask questions. If you're interested in doing it, I'll tell you that Secure Ideas released open source. I'm not selling you something. We have a 6-day course that in 2014 was actually being taught at a very large organization that I won't name. And we open sourced the entire thing about 2 years ago. It's called the Professionally Evil Web App Pen Testing course. So PEWAPT 101, and it's out on GitHub. But get involved with people. Find local groups like ISSA or OWASP or whatever and go out and meet people. And then that's how you're going to work toward becoming a red teamer. I don't believe I am in your Discord channel, but it's the Professionally Evil GitHub repo. So github.com/professionally evil. Professionally evil.
I'll see if I can post it for you, Ryan, in a minute.
Yeah, thanks. If you need to, if you can't find it, just tag me in an email and I'll tag it back out.
No worries. All right, I think that's everything. Thank you so much for your time, Kevin.
Thank you for having me.
CornCon appreciates it, and hopefully we'll see you next year.
Definitely. Enjoy.
All right, thanks. All right, folks, next up in about 10 minutes, we have Dr. Mark Carney, a technical specialist and researcher. He's going to give a speech on Tears for Quantum Fears. And please, as always, check out the merch store and join Discord. Thank you.